everyone. With the introduction of Don Onitaijin, it's time for a second installment of Should You Watch Donbrothers? This time we're focusing on episodes 6 through 12. The Reiwa era has been very good for Sentai. Even though there are some detractors for Kira Major and Zenkaiger, both shows were pretty well loved by the fanbase, and Donbrothers is no exception. Episodes 1 to 5 did a perfect job of establishing the characters and conflict, as well as presenting some enticing mysteries. This batch of episodes answers some of those questions while giving us even more questions. I'm going to try not to repeat anything I said in my last video, so if you're confused or lost at any point during my analysis, feel free to watch my video about episodes 1 through 5. Let's start off with the Donbrothers and Miho. We don't learn too much more about Taro's past, or why he has his inhuman abilities. But an interesting relationship forms between Taro and one of the Cerebrans, which is reminiscent of Takumi and Kiba from Faiz. I'll talk more about the Cerebrans later, but I love that we're establishing interesting dynamics between the Cerebrans and the Donbrothers. We do learn a little more about Jin, and that he was made a guardian as a punishment for a sin he committed. That sin is probably related to Taro somehow. In episode 12, we learn that Taro physically cannot tell a lie. It almost kills him to try, and it's one of the reasons it's really hard for him to get along with people. The Cerebran he unknowingly befriended gives him honestly good advice about how, even though the moon is a liar, you can still trust it more than the sun because you can keep your eye on it. Lies can be beautiful and beneficial. At this point in the show, the power-ups seem more connected to Taro than to the other members of the team. He just kind of arbitrarily decides to combine everyone as Don Onitaijin. It appears that when he deems his companions are strong enough to wield greater power, that's when he allows them to have it. Normally, I'd prefer individual characters to have to earn their power-ups, but this could potentially strengthen the relationship with Taro and his companions. It's not just enough that they follow him. He has to learn how to be human, and they have to learn how to understand him better. Saru Brother is still the weakest of the team. He has gotten a bit better in these episodes. Seeing Taro's comment about being drunk on his words getting under his skin added some needed depth to the character. He is a bit narcissistic and full of himself, but there is a part of him that is ashamed of his own pride. They haven't done anything with it yet, but I'll trust that Inoue has something interesting planned for Monkey Boy. Haruka is still my favorite character. I'm a little worried though. Episode 10 has her using her points to claim back her old life. But she finds out that by doing so, someone else takes her place and has equally bad misfortune. Marina, the second Oni sister, is an aspiring photographer who is now suffering accusations of plagiarism much like Haruka did. And just like Haruka, she's lost the things she loved. Haruka chooses to become Oni sister again, not because of burning justice, but because she sympathizes as a fellow artist. She knows the pain of losing what you love, and she decides that she can't let someone else go through that. I love everything about this episode. My question now is, what is going to be Haruka's arc? Her goal from the beginning was to get back her old life. But even before she realized the price Marina paid for that, the cracks were showing. Her perfect boyfriend was actually an annoying mama's boy. The popularity she so craved didn't fulfill her the same way it used to. Even though what I thought would be Haruka's main arc is concluded, there's actually a lot more places to go with the character, and I can't easily guess what that'll be. But I'm excited to find out. At the beginning of the show, Haruka was the main protagonist, or at least she was the point of view character for the audience. After episode 10, though, that changes. While she still has a sizable role in episodes 11 and 12, the show isn't as locked into her perspective as it was earlier. She and Saru Brother are one group of characters, while Tsuyoshi and Tsubasa are becoming their own group. Tsuyoshi was pretty easily the fan favorite at the start of the show. He's a simp dork who just loves his wife. Episode 6 just built on that. He feels that he isn't successful enough to be deserving of Miho, and unknowingly trades in some of his points to become more successful at his job. But as in most stories like this, the success gets to his head and corrupts him. Because he made a selfish wish, it's Miho that suffers the consequences. What I like about this episode is that it gives the audience a reason why someone like Miho would marry Tsuyoshi. She doesn't like fancy restaurants. She doesn't like things to be fancy or elaborate. Someone low-key like Tsuyoshi is more comfortable for her than someone flashy and ambitious. Episode 8 is where things get interesting. Miho gets kidnapped, and while she rescues herself and is unharmed, Tsuyoshi refuses to forgive. He lets the Cerebrans kill the Hitotsuki, just because he wanted revenge. Tsuyoshi isn't just now suddenly evil or anything. He is defined by a love of his wife. And up until this episode, we've only seen the positive side of that. But obsession, any obsession, can lead to pain. At the beginning of the show, I was pretty sure Tsuyoshi's arc would be about him getting more confidence and finding out that he had always been worthy of his wife. Episode 6 more or less followed that, but now, I think his arc is going to be more about how he really shouldn't obsess over his wife. One person can't make you a whole human being. Even if you're in a happy relationship, you still have to be able to define yourself by more than just being in a relationship. I'm fascinated to see where this will go. Tsubasa remains clouded in mystery. We know that the woman he loves, Natsumi, looks and acts exactly like Miho. It isn't just a case of similar appearance. He and Tsuyoshi have the exact same story more or less about how they met her and how their relationship with her developed. But why Tsubasa is on the run isn't explored in this set of episodes. The meme I've seen people pass around is that we all expected Tsubasa to be the edgy bad boy in a similar way Guy was in Jetman, but so far Tsubasa has been adorable, while Tsuyoshi has some issues. A character I barely talked about before but has to have her own section now is Miho. My expectations of Miho were that she was a supporting character who was a victim of something the Cerebrans did, which is why she and Natsumi look the same. Nope! That was wrong. That was very, very wrong. We're introduced to a new set of villains, the Bestials, and Miho is one of them. When she sees Tsubasa sick in her home, she doesn't recognize him, so she isn't Natsumi pretending to be someone else. But then she senses the origami that was used to make him sick, and she's triggered. Something inside of her awakens and destroys the origami, which heals Tsubasa. But when he wakes up, she's gone. So far, I think Miho and the bestial inside of her are two different personalities. While Miho doesn't recognize Tsubasa, it's possible her bestial personality does. Maybe Natsumi was turned into one, with the Miho personality being created to shield and hide it from the Cerebrans. I honestly have no real idea, but this plot twist was wild. This is easily one of the best overarching storylines Sentai has had in years. I'm really excited to see what Inoue does with this. The Donbrothers aren't the only characters to be fleshed out in this batch of episodes. The antagonists, the Cerebrans, also have a lot of layers added to them. In this batch of episodes, we get their names. Sonoe is the leader, Sononi is the girl, and Sonoza is the guy with the spear. I recently watched a bunch of Kamen Rider Phase, which was also headed by Inoue. There are a number of similarities. Specifically that the characters all acted within their own factions. Takumi, Mari, and Keitaro as one faction, Hiba, Yuka, and Kaido in another faction, and then Smart Brain. Donbrothers has a similar setup. The Cerebrans not only have their own goals, but their own relationships to the heroes. As mentioned earlier, Sonoe forms a friendship with Taro. Sonoe claims to love humans, and feels that they deserve protection. But he also feels that humans that succumb to their greed and become monsters deserve to die. The thing is, he's not entirely in the wrong. He saved Haruka in episode 1. He's misguided, but he's far from evil. I'm a bit mixed on Sononi. Her goal is to understand love. I do really like her interactions with people. While I hate to be superficial, Sononi is really hot. And I completely believe that random men would profess their love to her within seconds of meeting her. There's a potential interesting setup with her and Tsubasa. When she asks him to tell her his words of love, he responds that if she wants to understand love, she needs to love someone else first. My issue with this is that it's kind of bullshit that the girl gets the subplot of trying to discover what love is. But so far it's been tastefully done. I'm cautiously optimistic and really hope sexism doesn't rear its ugly head in later episodes. Sonoza is trying to figure out human emotions. While Sononi is trying to explore the concept of love, Sonoza is more interested in how emotions are expressed through actions such as laughter and crying. His scenes are a bit more comical in nature since he genuinely wants feedback from people if he's doing the laughing or crying correctly, and doesn't realize he comes off as creepy. He doesn't have any specific connections to any of the Donbrothers yet, but he did have a fun interaction with Tsuyoshi. Tsuyoshi actually gives Sonoza honest feedback and even tries to help him. I do hope more is done with this. It's potentially a very fun relationship. I kind of called it when I said that the Cerebrans were probably not going to be the main villains. While they will continue to be antagonists, will the show end with them teaming up with the Donbrothers? I don't know, it depends on what the Bestials are. Whether or not the Bestials will turn out to be the two-dimensional villains we've come to know from Sentai and Rider is to be seen. The detective certainly fits that description, but I don't know what the hell is going on with Miho. While the Bestials are being set up as the big bads, their situation might also end up being more complicated and nuanced. I have not been this engaged with a villain group in a tokusatsu show for a long time, and it feels really damn good to actually care about what the dynamics between our villains and heroes are. As much as you cheer for Don Momotaro to save the day, you do want Sononi to understand love, and you want Sonoza to be able to properly express emotions. And you hope that maybe Sonoi can have a redemption arc of some kind that ends with him and Taro being able to remain friends at the end. This is the most invested I've been in both the heroes and the villains for a long time. But how well is the show still doing in other aspects? How well is it holding up in theme and aesthetic? So far, really damn good. Most of the connections between Sentai monsters and the shows they represent are still pretty surface level, such as the Kira Major villain being an artist like Juru, or the Gokaiger monster just being a guy who wants to steal the talent of artists. While I'd like deeper thematic connections, such as with the Tokuger monster, I'm still happy with what we have. I will admit though that having an evil principal represent 5-Man, which is the Sentai where they are all teachers, was pretty hilarious and great. While I wish the Kira Major monster connected to Kira Major's theme of making people shine a bit more, it's also the episode where we see Tsuyoshi's dark side. I'm perfectly fine with having less fan service if it means meaningful story beats and character moments. Every battle is awesome. Not only do we have great choreography, but every fight has clear goals and motivations. We know the individual desire of each Hitotsuki, and we also see each Donbrothers' earnest desire to save either the corrupt soul or the people being hurt. Don Onitaijin is just cool. The toy was purposefully designed to allow for more movement, and that has had positive effects in the show as well. Even though the suit is obviously big and bulky, it's still able to produce fluid motion when not aided by CG. Seeing a Megazord small-scale killing foot soldiers is something I never knew I wanted. So, should you watch Donbrothers? Yes, the show just keeps getting better and better. I plan on tuning in every week, and I suggest you do the same. Well, that's all for now. Till next time, may the power protect you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you are interested in watching Donbrothers with English subtitles, there is no legal way currently of doing that. As of this video, you are just going to have to pirate it.